Hey, 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 we do fantasy ranks today. What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching the couch. We're going to go over my 2020 fantasy football rankings. I plan to come out with another video shortly for my fantasy football sleepers and busts, but in this video, I'm mainly going to be focusing on the top 10 and top 20 ranked players at each position. Let's start off with the quarterback. Tier 1 quarterbacks are Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. There is some debate which one to pick. Lamar Jackson is injury prone, some people say. I completely disagree. You really can't compare every player to other players. Lamar Jackson is the first player of his kind that I've ever seen. He's completely unique. He's a RB1 and a QB1 combined. That's just what he is. Over 1,200 rush yards last year. That will go down. So conservatively, I'm projecting 900 rush yards. More realistically, though, he'll probably hit that 1K mark once again if he plays 16 games. Remember last year, he only played 15 games because the Ravens' record was so good. He got rest that last game. So yeah, he's going to get 900 to 1,000 yards, and he's going to be a much better passer. They improved their wide receivers. Lamar Jackson should take a leap forward as far as his passing goes, and defenses just absolutely are frustrated and burnt out and tired trying to defend the Ravens. So I see that trend continuing again. Now, when can you really draft Mahomes over Lamar? For me, it's only really close in leagues where you get 6 points per passing touchdown. Patrick Mahomes is going to throw 10 more passing touchdowns than Lamar Jackson. I absolutely love Patrick Mahomes. These guys are super close in my rankings. It's more like 1A and 1B. You guys probably don't have these settings, but I'm in 2 leagues this year where you get 1 point for 20 passing touchdowns opposed to the standard 1 point for 25 passing touchdowns. And those type of leagues, I do have Mahomes number 1 over Lamar because we're getting 6 points of passing touchdown and we're getting more for passing yards. But other than that, I really think Lamar has that number 1 spot on lock. You just really can't go wrong with either, and I love both in round 3, even though I'm a type of guy to wait for quarterbacks. If I don't like too many players, I'm gonna draft a top 2 quarterback or top 2 tight end. My only advice though is that you don't do both. If you're gonna draft a top 2 tight end, a tier 1 tight end, that's cool, do that in round 3, but don't also go for a top 2 quarterback because you're going to be behind the 8 ball. You're probably going to miss out on all the running backs, and you're going to be 1 or 2 rounds behind. The only exception to this is if you're stuck in a super shallow league. I know most of you hate them, but some people watching this video are in 8-man leagues. And if you're in an 8-team league, then reach all you want. It's all about taking risks and separating yourself from the pack. But if you're in a 10-team league or a 12-team league, you don't want to go way too crazy on quarterbacks and tight ends and take both in the first 2 rounds, the first 3 rounds. That's doing too much. More quarterbacks. Kyler Murray I have ranked as my 3rd overall quarterback. And there's debate here whether him or Dak, but I'm going for upside. And just think about this. The Cardinals last year, they had Cliff Kingsbury, who's really adjusting to the NFL, right? He's like adjusting to real game speed, for lack of a better term. And Kyler Murray, a rookie, he was pretty dang good as a rookie. Didn't have too many weapons. And now they're improving their O-line. They attack that. They have a ton of receivers. And they added Hopkins. That's an incredible add. Like, he was already good last year. Just think how good he could be with Hopkins, his 2nd year in the league, and also Cliff Kingsbury's 2nd year in the league. Just the way they run that offense up tempo, they're going to be running a ton of plays. He's going to throw the ball a lot, and of course, he'll get a lot of rush attempts. Now, he is a pocket passer, but with this type of speed and just to keep the defense super honest and guessing and on their heels and on their toes, he's going to run the ball a little bit more. We're going to see a little bit more of his athleticism, especially now that the Cardinals might very well be a playoff team. they have something to risk it, something to go for, he might run away from the rush. He might not just fall down. He might call some more run plays. This offense is going to take a leap forward. We're always going for quality here. We're trying to come in first place. I don't care about coming in sixth place or fourth place. We want to come in first place in our leagues. And Kyler Murray is that type of guy. On rare occasions, he falls to round 6. Not really, but if he does fall to round 6, that's where I like to take him. One time I've took him in late round 5. It was a specific situation and it ended up working out well for my team. But like I say, I'm more of a wait on QB type of guy. Also, right, this is the modern age. We want to target quarterbacks who get rushing stats. That's why I haven't drafted Phillip Rivers in the past couple years, because he averages like 0.1 or 0.2 rush yards per game. That means he's got to throw the ball like 1,000 more yards compared to a running quarterback who balls out like Kyler Murray. Phillip Rivers has to throw an additional 1,000 yards just to tie Kyler Murray's 400 rushing yards. And we all know Kyler Murray's probably going to get more like 600, 700 rush yards. He got way more than 400 last year. That's why we target quarterbacks who run, and Kyler Murray, second most rushing yards per game last year, second most total rushing yards last year. Absolutely love him this year. There's nothing wrong with Dak Prescott, though. I'd be happy if either one of them fell to round 6 or 7. That's cool there. I did get Dak Prescott in one league. He fell to 7.04 and is not a guy I usually target, but hey, he fell to round 7 in a 12-team league. Might as well sew up the quarterback position and get Dak. Now, Russell Wilson, he's pretty much good in all leagues. He's really safe, high floor, super durable, one of the best real-life quarterbacks, but he is on a team that runs the ball often. They don't pass too much. We're all kind of waiting, like, are they gonna like tell him to pass? I don't know why. Like, I mean, he's such a good quarterback. Maybe let him air it out a little bit more. Maybe they don't have a lot of weapons and they're more about efficiency and big plays. Like, that offense has been working, but I don't know. I think Russell Wilson fans would like to see him throw a few more times. If he falls, go ahead and take him. If you're in some kind of specialty league or tournament or something like that, maybe even best ball, I wouldn't target Russell Wilson. I don't think he has that super upside just because they do run the ball. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this year they don't run the ball as much. We'll have to see. And then we get into this weird territory, and this is why I usually wait for quarterbacks. Ranks 6 through 12 when it comes to QB. So I got Josh Allen 6, and I got Aaron Rodgers 12, and above him I got Wentz and Matt Ryan, and it's just like, and Breeze, you know, it's like, come on, there's not that much of a difference. Deshaun Watson there too. Deshaun Watson could be considered an elite quarterback, depending how you define elite in fantasy. At the very least, you could say he's really good. We know he's going to put the team on his back. My point is, 6 through 12, not a huge difference. I can easily see Wentz finishing top 3. Okay, maybe top 5. Top 3 is tough, but he can do it. He was really good. I mean, he actually played well last year. It's just that all their wide receivers were injured. All the Eagles wide receivers were injured. And so he really had nobody to throw to other than his tight ends and the third string wide receivers. So yeah, if some of these Eagles wide receivers stay healthy, Jalen Reagor steps up, JJ Arcega-Whiteside steps up, maybe not, but maybe. Just saying, if a few wide receivers stay healthy, I think Carson Wentz can do some things too. Also, he's got to stay healthy. So 6 to 12, they're all in the same tier. It's not a big difference. And I mean, that's really my advice when it comes to quarterbacks. One guy I want to talk about before I move on to running backs is Ryan Tannehill. I have him ranked just a little bit lower. I mean, actually, I have him exactly where his ADP is, 20, and I have him one spot lower than the expert consensus. Now, I do like Ryan Tannehill as a quarterback. I do believe him in real life. But in fantasy, we're going to see some games where the Titans defense is going to be absolutely beastly. Take over the game, they're going to have the lead, and it's just going to be a Derrick Henry show. We saw that in the playoffs a little bit, where Ryan Tannehill only had to throw 60 yards, and That's going to happen a few times during the year, and I don't want a quarterback who's only going to throw 60 yards. That doesn't mean that Tannehill sucks. It's actually, I think he's really good, really efficient. On top of that, he doesn't have too many weapons. You know, it's not like Kyler Murray with the Cardinals. He's got Larry Fitzgerald. He's got Christian Kirk. He's got DeAndre Hopkins. And I think another receiver might even emerge there. Maybe even a tight end. Dan Arnold, maybe? I don't know. They don't use tight ends there, but you get my point. There's a lot more weapons there. Also, Drake can catch the ball and so on and so forth. They run a lot more plays. I'm just giving you a comparison. Tannehill, yeah, he'll get you a few rushing yards. He'll have good games. I do believe in him. But in this year where there's a ton of quarterbacks, you just really don't need to draft him. He's okay as a QB2, but plan on possibly dropping him if he doesn't put up a ton of numbers. It's all good. There's fantasy and there's real life. Next position, there is a small debate, not a big debate, but a small debate on which running back to go. Number one, C-Mac or Saquon. And I'm going to have it similar to Lamar and Mahomes. Basically, actually exactly the same. C-Mac, he's my number one. He's just too dang good. He's really, really good. He's good in all formats, but especially in PPR. And then Saquon Barkley, who, yeah, is worth considering, but I got to go with C-Mac over Saquon. Both these guys are tier 1. If you were to go with Saquon, I wouldn't get my feelings hurt. I'm giving you the okay. I would just recommend you take C-Mac. And look, let me put it like this. If you're in 10 leagues, just as an example, and you have the first overall pick, I wouldn't take C-Mac 10 out of 10 times. But I take him about 7 times, and I take Saquon 3 times, just to even things out a bit. Maybe 6, but probably I think actually 7 is the perfect number. So I'm taking 7 out of 10 times C-Mac over Saquon, number 1 overall in fantasy. After that, no doubt it's going to be Ezekiel Elliott. This offense is amazing. Hopefully the O-line could stay healthy for the most part for Zeke, and he can catch the ball. And I was watching some film. I honestly forget what film I was watching. I'm probably Amari. It was either Amari Cooper or Dak, I assume. It could have been Zeke. I'm watching some film on Cowboys players, and while I'm watching film, I got to notice how stupid Jason Garrett was as a head coach. And now that he's gone and we got Mike McCarthy, look, you can think Mike McCarthy is the 20th best coach in the NFL. Maybe he's dead average at 16 and a half. Look, that's fine. That's okay. You know, he still has something to prove. He didn't do well last year, but I know one thing. He's not super boring. He's not super predictable. And when Jason Garrett should have called the timeout, Mike McCarthy's going to call timeout. When Jason Garrett should have told his players on the field when they had 25 seconds, hey guys, go out of bounds to save time on the clock so we can do this, you know, time situational football. He didn't tell his players, and not all his players knew what was going on. This happens once a year with Jason Garrett, and he's just clapping like an idiot on the sidelines. I mean, the guy was a horrible head coach, and he finally got fired. Now, I don't know how he's going to be as offensive coordinator on the Giants. Probably good. I just know he's not a good head coach. That's for sure. It's on film. Like, there's no arguing about it. Everyone knows he got fired way too late. So now we got Mike McCarthy. He's got to be better. At the very least, it's an upgrade. And, you know, head coach in football is a big deal, okay? I mean, going back to the Cardinals again, you know, head coach change. You get a head coach and a quarterback, boom, that team changes so quick. So quick. The offensive line doesn't look as horrible. Makes up for that O-line. Anyway, got to stop talking about the Cardinals. With the new head coach, probably the most durable back in the first round. Just a guy who's going to run hard for your fantasy team. I like Ezekiel Elliott. Standard PPR, non-PPR, I love it. Number 4 gets slightly more tricky. If you're in non-PPR, you got to go with Derrick Henry here. He doesn't have much depth behind him. This is a guy who's going to get the ball 27, 29 times, and he's really good. He is good. Once they change the scheme and they're like one cut and go scheme, Henry's been unstoppable, and he's just going to continue to be that good. Now, if it's full PPR, go Alvin Kamara. The man has caught 5 balls every game for his life, and always catches 5 balls a game, and you just can't beat that when you're talking about full PPR. And this Saints team is really good. Clyde Edwards-Helaire got ranked really high. You can go ahead and downgrade him in non-PPR. I know most of you play half PPR and full PPR though, so I absolutely love his upside. Now that Damian Williams is gone, come on. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it could be the best Andy Reid running back. I truly believe that's true. It's a bold statement. Okay, he's definitely better than Brian Westbrook. He's definitely better than any of those Spencer Ware guys. He's better than Kareem Hunt. LaShawn McCoy, that's a tough one, but I do think he's going to be better than LaShawn McCoy. And then we got Jamal Charles, who I think is the best Andy Reid running back. But he got hurt all the time. So if Clyde could just stay healthy, he's going to be better than Jamal just by default. And there's really no competition behind CEH. And just finally, the Chiefs, they went, hey, and drafted Clyde at the end of round 1, first running back off the board. If that doesn't communicate something, I don't know how much louder you can communicate. Actions speak louder than words. They went and got their guy. Damian Williams opted out. There's no doubt that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a first rounder. He's one of my favorite prospects. Look, I know people sometimes tell me, look, they're scared to draft rookies. They tell me not to. But I had some faith in Zeke when he was a rookie. I had a ton of faith in Saquon when he was a rookie, and that's how I started my dynasty startup. I got Saquon first overall. When you know there's a talent, you just got to take it. You got to take that risk. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the next one. Just look at how much Damian Williams balled out when he got like 60% of the snaps. So when he was the starter, when he was the man, he balled out. And just recently in the Super Bowl, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be just fine. Deserves that first round pick. Why I have Mixon so high? I recognize the risk. Super risky. He's definitely a guy, if you're doing 10 drafts and Mixon falls to you at the end of round 1, definitely a guy you don't want to take it all 10 because of the risk. But I'm a huge believer in Burrow. I think that offense is going to get way better. Similar situation, the Cardinals coach. Coach has got a little bit more experience now. They got a Burrow who's going to have his woes as a rookie for sure, but there's going to be some more excitement. And Mixon, and he's going to run really hard for your fantasy team. I already know that for sure. I've seen him up close and work with him, and I know he's going to be an absolute baller. He's got natural hands. He's really strong. Good in all formats. I'd say he's a little bit better in full PPR just because of those natural hands. Theo Riddick got signed to the Raiders, and I had Josh Jacobs ranked super high. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like that as far as Jacobs' value goes. Now, Theo Riddick, by the time I upload this video, Theo Riddick might get cut. And I mean, it's a very realistic scenario. He might. I think they'll keep him a bit longer for sure, but he might get cut. But that's not why I'm so worried about Jacob in PPR and conceding some work on passing downs. That's not what I'm so afraid. What I'm afraid of is these Raiders got a lot of pass catching backs, and Theo Riddick is a really good pass catching back, or at least he used to be. This just communicates something really loudly to me. Sure, Gruden did want Jacobs to get more work on passing downs and see more targets in the pass game. He did say that a long time ago. But times change, right? You could say something, and then now it's like, oh, we're signing Theo Riddick. That to me communicates maybe not so much. Pump the brakes. I still love him in non-PPR, but as far as PPR goes, his upside's going to be a little bit limited, a little bit more dependent on touchdowns. He's still worth a first-round pick. I think he's super safe. I do like him, but there was this guy I was thinking of taking top 5 before, about a month ago. I would have considered Jacobs top 5. Now, He's more so towards the end of round 1 than early to mid round 1 for me. Elephant in the room. I got Dalvin Cook ranked 5 spots lower than most people. Look, he's got the talent. He was even better than I thought, even more talented than I thought last year. He proved it. He's amazing. He's got the burst. He's got the vision. He's just a great elite running back. The reason I have him ranked so low is because I don't trust him. We need some kind of trust in the first round. Now, if you had to say who's the most injury player in round 1, who would it be? And I asked this to a lot of people, and I asked it just like that, and they've all told me it's Dalvin Cook, most injury prone. Some people said Kamara is second, and I'm like, whatever. You know, if you had to pick a second guy, I can get that. I mean, I guess, I don't know, maybe I had to pick him too, but really it's Dalvin Cook in a tier of his own when it comes to being the most injury prone first round player. And so you're taking an injury prone player on a team that lost Stefanski and lost Stephon Diggs. Now, Kevin Stefanski's getting replaced by Kubiak. And, of course, that's great. That's like the next best thing, right? I mean, I think Stefanski's better as far as being fantasy gold for running backs. But still, it's a change. It's still a factor. And Stefanski was so good. I don't know if even Kubiak could be that good for Dalvin and the Vikings. Maybe he could. Because I'm not saying Kubiak sucks or anything. But we all know how good Stefanski is. Stefanski is the best for running backs. So yeah, you're getting Kubiak. You're losing Diggs. This team, they did well last year, but they could be on a decline. They might not have a number 2 option behind Adam Thielen. And also, he hates his contract. So let's say the Vikings are 1-6, because I think there's a good chance they're going to decline this year and just have a much worse record. Maybe even miss playoffs. I think that's very likely for the Vikings. If that happens, they're 1-6, they're 2-6. Dalvin Cook is 80%, 90% healthy. He's a little sore, you know, bruised up. What makes you think he's going to go out there and be like, all right, coach, I'm going to go risk it for this team and run through a wall for you guys. I'm going to do that. Or is he going to be like, I can't go this week? I mean, is this guy going to play 16 games? Maybe he could, and he doesn't want to. And you know what? I don't even blame him. Because if that's a real business decision there, if he thinks he's going to miss out on $2 million because he's running through a brick wall for the Vikings who didn't, you know, who disrespected him, in his eyes, me personally, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just trying to give you fantasy advice and telling you what I think. He might be like, look, man, I'm out. I can't go. Or might lie or exaggerate an injury. Because everyone's kind of banged up after week 7, after week 8. There's going to be a lot of injuries. And so that's why me personally, I'm avoiding Dalvin Cook unless he falls to the very end of round 1. I'm telling you, he is talented. If you want to draft that man 6th overall, 5th overall, be my guest. Don't recommend you draft him 4th overall at all. Don't do that. Don't go too crazy. And 5th overall, why not take a risk on Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Like I said, look, if you're watching this video, you're probably in more than one league. All right. What is it? 90% of you are in more than one league. All right. One, draft Dalvin Cook. Be sorry. Another one, maybe draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire. David Johnson's rising in my rankings. I just changed my mind on the guy. He's looking good. His injuries were such so as a high ankle sprain and a wrist. He broke his wrist, and it's like, is this guy really injury prone? Can we get some value in round 3? Yeah, we can find that with David Johnson. No one believes in Duke Johnson anymore. For years, he's been like, oh, he's going to play in the slot. He's going to be good. Whatever. He's never got carries. He's never got a ton of snaps in the backfield. It just hasn't happened, and we know it's not going to happen. I mean, Duke Johnson was on the team last year, and Carlos Hyde was pretty much the running back. He was the man. David Johnson there, they traded a lot for David Johnson. They're going to use him. And even if he doesn't get 20 carries a game, totally fine. He's going to get 7 targets a game if that's the case. Absolutely love David Johnson at his value. I've got him ranked 7 spots higher than the expert consensus, 8 spots higher than his ADP. David Montgomery got hurt. He might miss 0 time. He might miss, let's just say he's going to miss 2 weeks. Now you can get him for even more of a steal. He was going at the end of round 4, early round 5, somewhere around there. Now you got a chance to swoop on this guy in round 6. Most leagues have an IR spot. That's an absolute steal for a workhorse running back. Who cares if he misses the first 2 weeks? You got to look at these guys like Debo and Montgomery. Look, if they miss a couple weeks, that's fine. As long as they're playing before any of your players got a bye, that's a huge plus because no one's calculating that in their head. Oh, my first bye week is week 5 on my team. That's when you need Montgomery, like week 5, because I got 2 players on bye. I need my running back week 5. Look, as long as he comes back in a couple weeks and he's good and the Bears are smart with him, he's going to be great value. Just imagine getting a workhorse running back in round 6, even if he's not efficient. He's an RB. They're scarce. You're not going to find workhorse running backs in round 6 other than Montgomery. And I got Kareem Hunt. These are 2 guys I'm always targeting. Kareem Hunt, David Montgomery. When it's round 5, it's like click, 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 ding, ding, ding. I got to get these guys. Kareem Hunt, he's ready to be your flex right now because he's going to steal a ton of work in the pass game. Better receiver than Nick Chubb, or at least the coaches thought last year, and I agree with them. He's going to get maybe 10 carries a game. He's going to get 5 targets a game. At least he's going to be a flex star. Remember, they got Stefanski, a better O-line. They're going to use both backs, and his upside, if anything were to happen to Chubb, you got yourself a top 3 running back. You basically got a last year's Dalvin Cook, or a poor man's Dalvin Cook, whatever. It's Kareem Hunt. We all know Kareem Hunt led the league in rushing. He's going to be good with Stefanski. Don't worry about it. That's another guy who's falling to round 6 sometimes. Yes, rarely, but he does fall to round 6. If it's round 6 and Montgomery and Kareem Hunt is on the board, I think 100% of the time in a 12-team league, you got to take him. Another guy I'm down on is Aaron Jones. Look, if it's round 3 and Aaron Jones is there, not horrible. But for me, I don't get why some people draft him in round 2. It just doesn't make any sense to me. He did it all in a couple games last year. All his fantasy points came just in those short amount of games. He was very touchdown dependent. And talking about communication, what are the Packers telling us? We already knew that before the draft. Aaron Jones is TD dependent. He might not be able to replicate that. He can't sustain that the following year. Then the Packers go and shock the world and draft a running back super early, a big one. A.J. Dillon, with comparisons to Derrick Henry. He's not as good as Derrick Henry, but he's underrated. A lot of people hate a little bit on A.J. Dillon, and I don't know why. He's okay. He's a decent back. And you know what? It don't matter what you think about A.J. Dillon. It doesn't. It doesn't matter what I think about A.J. Dillon. It matters what Matt LaFleur thinks about A.J. Dillon and the Packers front office. They went out their way. They said, hey, we're drafting a running back early. Did they draft Denzel Mims? Did they draft Justin Jefferson? Did they draft Brandon Ayuk? No. They drafted a running back. The most shocking pick in the entire draft. I'd say more shocking than even the Raiders picking Henry Ruggs as the first wide receiver. It was a shock that they did that. And if that doesn't communicate something to you, I don't know what will. So yeah, they drafted A.J. Dillon. I got Aaron Jones ranked 6 spots below everyone else. I'm avoiding him. You know, unless he's there, at 4.12, at 4.11, I'm avoiding Aaron Jones. And he's not. He's going more like 2.12 and 2.10. That's where he's going. I'm not buying Aaron Jones. Let's talk about draft strategy and wide receivers. There's only one wide receiver that I would consider drafting in round 1, and that's Mike Thomas. He's worth considering. It's a 4th overall pick, 5th overall pick. But that's too early for me. I don't know who's going to come around in round 2. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a top 13 running back. Matter of fact, I know I won't. If you draft Mike Thomas 4th overall, You're not going to get a top 13 running back, a tier 1 or tier 2 running back. It's not going to happen. But if Mike Thomas falls to 8, 9, 10 overall, that's where I'm taking him. That's a cool spot. And I'm going to calculate it, right? We're talking snake draft. If I got the 10th pick and I got Mike Thomas, I go, okay, there's 4 picks ahead of me. I assume at least one wide receiver is going to go, maybe 2, and probably 2 running backs. Okay, only 9 running backs went. I might be able to get a top 13 running back, like a Miles Sanders or Eckler. So I'm cool. I might take him at 10. And so you just want to do the math and be prepared. Also do your mock drafts and see how it goes. Draft a running back, draft Mike Thomas. Anyway, all I'm saying is I wouldn't draft a wide receiver in round 1, except if Mike Thomas fell quite a bit. He's the only one I'd consider. He's basically in a tier of his own, but I didn't want to make him technically tier 1 just by himself because wide receiver is so deep. I usually go 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds. That's what I always pretty much do. I'm not against drafting a wide receiver early, but if you draft a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds, you probably just want to chill off that. Just, draft 2 running backs. Attack the running back. I'm really against drafting 2 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds. Wide receiver is the deepest position this year. We said that last year, and we said that the year before, but it's always been true. And it's even deeper now. There's so many wide receivers. It's just really not worth getting any of them as your first 2 picks and just ignoring running back. It's not. I mean, I'd rather even go quarterback or tight end. If you want to get an elite wide receiver, you see it makes sense, you think it's smart, go get one. But don't get 2 elite wide receivers. You really don't need 2 top 8 wide receivers. You don't. A guy that I'm bullish on is A.J. Brown. I have him 7 spots ahead of everybody else, ADP and consensus. I think he's going to be the man. This is the next NFL star right here. We don't see rookie seasons like this often. 8 touchdowns, 1,050 yards. He's the man in Tennessee. I do like Ryan Tannehill as a real life quarterback. I do see him getting another 1,000 yards. And last year, he was a rookie. He had Mariota for a couple games. This year, he's not a rookie. He's got Ryan Tannehill. He's barely making it in my top 10. I know it's a little bit bold, but that's how much I like A.J. Brown. And if you're in a keeper dynasty league, you definitely want to target him. Guys, I do see myself targeting in round 5 is Calvin Ridley, Robert Woods, Terry McLaurin, DJ Chark. And I know I named like Calvin Ridley, who never falls to round 5, but you never know. He possibly could. I've got him late round 4 plenty of times. And hey, if 1 or 2 owners misses on that, he's going to fall to round 5. It was this close to him falling to round 5. Well, I mean, I didn't let that happen. I'm the one who drafted him. But yeah, there's just so many, and we're talking round 5 here. So in between round 1 and 4, you should have at least 2 running backs or 3 running backs right there. And you can still find a lot of wide receivers. I absolutely love those guys. DK Metcalf, I find, is being drafted way too early. Look, I got him ranked exactly where everyone else has him. Actually, I have him a couple spots ahead. I have him right where ADP is. I have him ranked as wide receiver 21. But man, I just don't get why you need to draft him in round 4. It makes no sense to me. I'm a Metcalf fan. He's going to be good. But it's so deep. There's just so many running backs that you can draft right there and other wide receivers. I don't get the hype on Metcalf on a team that doesn't throw a lot. And, we'll spread the ball a little bit. And they're trying to get another wide receiver right now. Whether it be Antonio Brown, probably not. Whether it be Paul Richardson, possibly. They got a few tight ends there that can catch. So I'm just a guy. I'm not drafting Metcalf in round 4. I don't know. I don't know what the hype is that came all of a sudden. I got him last year in round 10, and that was cool for me. He did well. This year, I'm not touching him in round 4. Another reason why I'm saying this, look, after that, you got guys like Hollywood Brown, who's got upside. Will Fuller, who you can get in round 9. And even if he plays 8 games, that's not that bad, because those 8 games he played, he's gonna ball out. Look, I'm not trying to say playing 8 games is good and that's what I'm going for, but I'm just giving you a kind of a bad scenario where it's still good. A bad scenario is still good. So if you get 11 games, 13 games out of him in the 9th round, he could be the #1 wide receiver on the Texans. He could be the guy getting the big plays. He's been good when he's been healthy. He just hasn't been healthy that often. If it's 8.11 at the end of round 8, I'll take Will Fuller. And then you got Edelman, who's always been good in PPR. Deebo Samuel, similar situation in Montgomery, where he can miss 0 to 2 weeks. He's going to be a baller. You can get him even later now that he's hurt. You can go get him round 8, sometimes round 9. And yeah, like, I mean, this could just keep going on and on. There's a lot of wide receivers. Tight end is messy, but it simplifies this part of the video. Kelsey is slightly better than Kittle, and that's tier 1 right there. Not a big drop off, but I'm going with Kelsey. I think he'll get some more receptions, and his quarterback is better, so I got to give the edge to Kelsey. Perhaps one day Kittle will take over, but he does a lot of blocking and he'll be more inconsistent. Team likes to run a lot. So yeah, those two are tier 1. Then we got tier 2. It's a little bit further apart between Andrews and Ertz, because Andrews has a ton more upside while Ertz is very safe. And that's what's kind of cool about this, is that you can sometimes get Ertz. He sometimes falls at the very end of round 5. That's a cool spot to take him. You got your tight end sewed up, and then round 6 is coming up in a couple picks. Boom. Now, you know, you can draft your second wide receiver, or you can draft your third running back, and you'll be good. After that, it's a complete crapshoot. I like Hayden Hurst. I like Gesicki, Darren Waller. There's just so many tight ends that all I'm going to say is, if you don't get a top 4 tight end at a decent spot, or whatever, you don't even reach for, you just don't get one, draft a couple, okay? If you're in a weird league with a really deep bench and IR spots, draft 3 tight ends. I don't care. Just draft a bunch of sleepers. Throw more darts at the tight end dartboard, because I'm just going to say you got a 1 out of 3 chance for your tight end to hit if you don't get one of those 4. And that way, if you draft 3, I think the math says you'll hit on one of them. In most leagues, it's kind of silly to draft 3 of them. I often draft 2. I get one in like round 9, and then I take a flyer on one towards the end of the draft. With defenses, tier 1 is the Niners and Steelers. You can interchange these two. Also, they're my top 2 in Dynasty. They both have a young nucleus, a lot of great players, a ton of upside. They can pressure the quarterback. I always look at QB pressures. These two defenses are absolute beasts. Now, I have the Niners as my number 1 overall, but it's so close. It's basically even. This is the closest 1-2 competition, I think. You can easily rank the Steelers. After that, it's essentially a crapshoot. Look, just don't draft the defense early. That's what I always say. Draft them second to last, or completely avoid them. And look, I'm going to give you information to help you out. So, streaming defenses, it's a strategy. A lot of us use it. This is how I'm going to help you. Okay. The Eagles, they're going super late. They're going undrafted in 10-team leagues. They're going undrafted sometimes in 12-team leagues. You can get them in round 16. I got them ranked 5 spots higher than the other experts and 11 spots higher than their ADP. So ADP is telling me they're going undrafted. Week 1, they face Washington. Great matchup. Eagles D's good, first of all. You know, they got Slay. They got a good D-line. Good coach. So they're going against Washington week 1. A lot of opportunity for fantasy points. Week 2, they're going against the Rams. Now, I personally not a fan of the Rams, but they're still a decent team, not the best matchup. Week 3, they're going up against the Bengals. I love Joe Burrow, but his first year, he's going to make mistakes. And I think he'll make some against the Eagles. So 3 decent matchups right off the bat, and I'm not looking at matchups and being like, this is why you should draft them. But look, it's a defense you can get in the last round. They're good, they're talented. I think they'll put up points, and their matchups are pretty good. So no matter what strategy you're doing, you can get this defense at value, and you can get this defense off waivers even. If you're in a league that doesn't require you to draft a defense and you don't, you can get this for $0 FAB. Free agency. You don't even have to use the claim. The Colts is another one. Now, I like the Eagles defense more. I think they'll put up more fantasy points than the Colts. Of course, these things are hard to predict when it comes to defenses. It's very, very, very difficult to predict year to year how well the defense is going to do. But I have the Eagles ranked higher. Now, the Colts, though, have a great schedule, and they're going to work out well in fantasy. Their ADP is 14. That means they're going undrafted in a lot of leagues. Week 1, they face Jacksonville. Week 2, Vikings, who could decline. Week 3, they face Adam Gase and the Jets. We all know how good of a head coach he is. Then they face the Bears, okay team. Browns, okay team. And then Bengals. And then they got a bye. You know what's also cool about the Colts? You might be able to start them 6 weeks, actually, and then drop them Week 7. That's cool. Players that you can drop is very cool. That's why I'm not scared to draft Will Fuller. I'm not scared to. I draft him in round 9 and I drop him. That's cool because when it's these mediocre players that kill you, man. Even if you make playoffs and you finish 6th in your league, that you lost, right? And it's those mediocre players that absolutely kill you. Players that you can't drop. You have a wide receiver 3 who's not going to win you your league, but you can't drop him. You can't drop a wide receiver 3, but man, I wish I had a guy more upside, more pizzazz, and that's why it's so good to be able to drop players sometimes. And I'm going to talk about that when we talk about kickers in 1 second. Chargers, I got them ranked a few spots higher. On paper, this defense is absolutely amazing. Before, the defense on paper was really, really good, and they always disappointed. As you know, Chargers are cursed. But week 1, they faced the Bengals, and I think they're so good on paper this year that it's got to translate somehow in real. Like, it's got to translate on the field. Like, it has to. This defense is so good that it really looks like an all-pro defense. It literally looks like you handpicked a team, like an all-star team, a dream team, to be on defense. Let's see how they do, though. I think they'll actually do a good job this year. I'm not going to give them too high hopes, but I think they'll be solid. And yeah, week 1, good matchup. Bills, you're not going to get much value out of them. I got them ranked in my top 5. Everyone's drafting them top 5. They do face the Jets and Dolphins. You know, they're talented, they're good. I got them ranked high. Sometimes they go early, sometimes they go not so early, and they got some good matchups. With kickers, please draft one in the very last round or not at all. I love Justin Tucker and Harrison Butker, okay? They're my top 2 kickers. Now, some people have Butker ahead of Tucker. I like Tucker a little bit more, and I'm not even going to argue because I know Harrison Butker is in a high-powered offense, so the Ravens don't run a lot of plays. Therefore, they may not, get in field goal range as often, not as high volume, but I trust Tucker more than Butker. But who cares? Because when you draft one of those guys, there's always 2 owners in your league who draft kickers super early, or one guy, right? And you want to really compete for that guy. You want to, bid him up, and I know we're not talking auction, but if it's an auction too, you would really actually bid him up. So you guys are going to fight over Justin Tucker, whether to take him in around 10 or 11? Like, really? Or 9? People draft kickers around 9 sometimes. You're going to do that. And then when he's on bye, you're going to have 2 kickers on your team. And, Justin Tucker's going to have a few bad weeks like he has before. Every kicker does this. And you're going to be sorry and you're going to lose. So don't do it. If Butker or Tucker fall to me, it's the end of round 14 or something, I'll take them, whatever. I'll break the rule a little bit, but I'm not drafting a kicker in round 12, round 11. Sure as hell not doing it in 10 and 9. Just wait. I got a bunch of sleepers, bunch of good kickers. You can check out my rankings right now on fantasycouch.com. Also, my printable cheat sheet, my top 300 cheat sheet. You print this out. You cross off the names. You write them here. It's really helpful, really good. Both those are available on the website, and they're free. And I update them at least once a week, and it says the date when it's updated, just in case. It says in the top corner. This one's I just updated it today, but yeah, it says right here in the top right corner when it's updated. Same thing as my digital rankings, says when it's updated. So go check that out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the thumbs thumbs up. If you didn't, smash the thumbs down. It's all good. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of my top rankings. Did I get them wrong? Did I get them right? I want to know your opinions. I always enjoy you guys' analysis. Sometimes you guys say some stuff that doesn't make sense, but sometimes I'm like, wow, hey, I didn't think about it like that. And I do enjoy the conversation. Absolutely love fantasy football. Make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel though, and we have a second YouTube channel. It's called Fantasy Couch Podcast. Subscribe to that one as well, and I will see you on the next video / live stream. We also got a couple surprises. We got the sleeper video coming out. We got some drafts coming out. A lot of surprises.